In this series, so far we have learned mean, median, and mode, and we use all of these things to summarize our data. Exactly, the point is we use all of these things to summarize the data. So when it comes to summarization, we might miss on many of the important things when it comes to each of the data point, right? For example, if you are working, for example, let's consider that you are working in a credit card company called Bank of Learnerea, right? And here you have been given the transactional amount data for 11 metro cities in India, and this is the transactional amount, and you are willing to summarize the data. So when it comes to summarizing the data, the first thing which comes into the mind is mean. Exactly, the point is, and that you find, which is 6.09. So now you are saying that the average transaction amount is 6.09 for these 11 cities in India, right? But look at this number, this is just 3 million, where you are saying 6.09. Look at this one, this is just 2 million, which is just 6.09. So if you are simply representing this average, the person who is looking at this, he might end up taking inappropriate decision. So when you present this particular thing, you should also consider this kind of differences. What is the technique that you can use to address this thing? So that's where the variance comes into the picture. Now what variance is, let's understand its definition. Variance is nothing but a squared average of differences of each of the data points from its mean. So this is the layman term variance definition. Let's have a look at Wikipedia. What does it say? So here is a big definition available over here. But the point which you should note is this one. Variance is a measure of dispersion, meaning it is a measure of how far a set of number is spread out from their average value. Now this is the definition. How do you calculate this? To calculate this, you have this formula. Don't worry if this looks very complicated to you. Here I am just decoding it. First thing which you need to do is find the difference between mean and each of the data point. Then square each of those differences and then find the average of those squared differences. Still confused? Let me explain you with the help of an example. Let's take our example. Here we had the mean of 6.09. Now we will try to find the variance of this thing. So the first step was, okay, before we jump to the first step, let's have a look at our data. And here we have the mean which we had already calculated. The first step is find the difference between mean and each of the data point, okay, which we got this. All right, so here we have the differences. Now the second point is square each of the differences. So here we squared it off. And then the third and final step is take average of these squared values. So here we go. Here we have the average 10.26, and exactly this is the variance amount, 10.26. So now when you summarize this data, you can say that the average transaction amount of these cities is 6.09 with a variance of 10.26. Now that gives a good understanding of your data. Let's have a look at its definition, formula, and try to understand each of this element. So here comes the first one. This is mean value of dataset, which we found 6.09. Then the next one, this is each value from the population. So here is the population, and these are the each values. For example, 3, 9, 10, 9, 4, 9, 2, 6, 10, 3, 2. These are each of the data points. Then it comes n. What is n? N is total number of elements. So in our case, total number of cities will be n, which was 11, right? We had 11 cities, okay? Now usually we represent variance with a square, right? And the variance which we got is 10.26. I hope that it is clear, right? This is how we can calculate it manually. Do you want to calculate it in Python? Let me take you to the Python as well. So here we are in Python. Here I have calculated it, but let me just redo it once again for you, okay? So first thing, which there are two ways of doing this in Python. One, using a stats library, and then the other one is doing it, creating your own way in the Python. So we will see each of these two. Let's have a look. First we will look at the detailed option. So for that, first thing which you need to do is create the blank list and then iterate. So this is the sample data which we were considering in our example. Now we will find the difference for each of these data points and square them off, right? So for that we're gonna write a for loop for amount. Okay, let me give it a different name, amounts. Okay, and here for amount in sample dot cells in ml. Here the variable name is sales in ml, but the example which we were looking at over there, the name was amount in transaction amount in ml, right? So don't worry about it, both of these two things are same. Now here we need to get difference. So difference of amount minus stats. Stats is nothing but the library which I imported, and then here I'm trying to find the mean of this particular variable, which is sales in ml. Okay, so this particular this is the variable for which I'm taking a mean over here, and from that I'm subtracting each of the data points, right? Once this is done, then I'm going to append this in this blank list. Okay, append, and in this I will just append this differences, but here I will end up appending only differences, but we need square. So for that I'm just going to take the square of it. Now here I'll just first check the list. How does it look like? Let's see if this works. Again it gave the error. This is very terrific. Here the variable name is incorrect. The variable name which I have written is incorrect. Now here we got the list of squared differences. Now what we need to do is find the variance, and to find the variance, first we need to variance is nothing but just the average of these differences, right? So we're gonna say first we're gonna take sum of these amounts, and then we're gonna divide it with total number of elements, which is length of amounts. Okay, now here you got 10.26. this is what we had. Now this was the plain way in native Python. How are you gonna do it using the statistical library? So that's going to be really simple. You're gonna just shout on me, man, this was going to be very simple, why did you tell us this long way? But both of these two things are required. Okay, so just let me explain you the other way. Stats dot variance. This might give you some different number which could be little different from this one because of some rounding off or some kind of problem. So don't worry about that. So here you don't need to do much, just simply supply the variable for which you want to find the variance, and here we go. Here you got 11.29, which is slightly different from the one which we got over here. So this is the exact one, because we calculated this, we saw this calculating manually as well, and here it is little different. Don't worry about it. Now because we have understood how to find the variance, let's take an example of share. There is a share of company XYZ for which in last 5 years average share price is 300 rupee. For last 5 years the average share price is 300 rupee with a variance of 250 rupee. Now you tell me, would you like to buy this particular share for this XYZ company? If yes, then why? If no, then why? Just put that into the comment section and let me know your answer. Okay, now after this, on a broader level, we categorize the variance in two categories. One is population variance, the other one is sample variance, and for this for both of these two variance, these are the two different formulas, right? So now if you want me to explain you what sample variance is and how is it different from population variance, and one most important thing is why are we taking denominator as n-1 in sample variance, but in population variance the denominator is n, but rest of the things remain same. Why is that so? So just let me know into the comment section if you are interested in understanding this thing. I will definitely make another video and I will explain that thing into that. Just give a thumbs up if you like this video so that it will reach to everyone whoever is interested in learning this. Happy learning, all the very best.